Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes. Welcome to Big Brother 27, and welcome to night number 6 of the live feeds. Yeah, I said night number 6. We missed the first week or so of live feeds because they moved into the house. We didn't get the live feeds until last night. So we're starting off our first show, night number 6 of the live feeds. A lot to talk about. 16, 17 people in a house. Everyone, for the most part, talking and scheming and a lot going on. Took a lot of notes last night, then turned around, tried to trim it up so I can give you about 20, 25 minutes versus several hours worth of conversations, trying to catch all the pertinent stuff. It's going to be a good season. We're starting to see some groups form. We're starting to see some people not trusting each other. We're starting to see some good decisions, some not so good decisions. We'll be talking about it all this evening. Before we do, let's talk just very briefly about some of the key parts of the show itself that we saw before we got to the live feeds. First of all, we do have an HOH. HOH is Vince. Not sure if he completely wanted it. He said he did. Maybe not so sure he still feels that way, but HOH is Vince. We saw some alliances form already. Rachel and Amy forming the Moms Alliance. We'll talk about that more this evening. We had our first scandal of the season with Showergate. It's already a hashtag. With Ashley taking way too long to shower up in the HOH room while Vince waited on her. I'm telling you, this first week or two in the Big Brother house, people are just looking for anything to use as an excuse to put you on the block. Unfortunately, Ashley fell into that trap. So yes, we have Showergate as well. We have another alliance, Vince and Kelly, not just any old alliance, but a final two made on day number 2, which they were very proud of. It's awful early to be making final 2 alliances. Are they going to be tight like this? Well, we're going to cover that this evening because that could be, couldn't be. I don't know. It's interesting to see how these two operate. All right, we're going to talk about all that. We saw Kelly mentioning at one point that maybe she wouldn't mind getting nominated. Well, Kelly, you may get your wish. All right, we finally had, before we cut to the live feeds, we did see at the end of the show last night on CBS, we do have the noms for the first eviction of the season. Noms are Zay, Amy, and Ashley. Ashley prayed herself with the Showergate. So that's it. Zay, Amy, and Ashley. All right, with all that being said, let's talk about the live feeds themselves. They kicked in at 9:30 Big Brother time last night. Pretty much when they were supposed to kick on. They do it. The feeds start. It doesn't appear that we have any self-evictions, any removals for doing something stupid. So yay to both of those. We don't have any obvious showmances as I start watching, although we do see later Lauren is painting Riley's nails, and we also hear some talk about Lauren and Zach maybe people are thinking that they could be a showmance as well. We'll see how that all turns out, but we still have 17 house guests in the house. We have had the veto competition, and the veto ceremony is likely to be happening today on Monday itself. Now, with the veto ceremony or the veto competition, normally it's held on a Saturday. The way some of the house guests were talking, I think it may have been held yesterday on a Sunday. At one point, Vince said, "Yeah, we had to get up early this morning. I think we're gonna have to get up early again in the morning tomorrow morning for the veto ceremony." Him saying that they had to get up early makes me think that the veto comp could have been on Sunday. Don't know anything about the comp itself. But we do know who the winner is. And let's just get right into that. The winner of the first veto competition of the season is Ashley. Yes, Ashley wins veto. Probably a good thing because there is a strong possibility she could have gone home otherwise. At one point in the evening, Vince even says, "Great, the one person I put up that was the true target wins veto and is going to pull herself off the block." Yeah, Showergate could have been dangerous. Of course, I picked Ashley to win the whole season. So of course she's going to be the first target. But Ashley saves her skin, saves herself. She wins the first veto. Surely she's going to use it to pull herself off this season, right? This first veto ceremony. Yeah, absolutely. There's none of that other stuff going on. She'll be using that to pull herself off the block, which means that Vince, who at one point so much wanted to win HOH, doesn't nominate just two people like in a regular season. No, he has to nominate three people because we've got the blockbuster competition taking place. And since no one's coming off the block, he actually will be nominating four people this week. And we've got four people who are safe because they're have-nots. The targets available to Vince are quickly going down, and it's created quite the confusion for him in the first evening. That's primarily what a lot of the discussions were about last night. So again, Ashley is the winner. We did see Vince seeming to be sincere about this alliance with Kelly that they had talked about previously, a final two alliance. But with that being said, it also seems like Vince is considering putting Kelly on the block as the renom, and Kelly seems to be, dare I say, eager for it to happen. What a crazy start to the season. So yes, Ashley will come off. It looks like there's a very good chance that Kelly could go on the block, even though she's got a final two with the HOH for the week. Crazy, crazy, crazy. She is already campaigning with the assumption that she may be going on the block. Other names that are mentioned as potential renoms, her Jimmy mentioned a little bit, Adrian mentioned a little bit, Kino mentioned more than a little bit. We'll talk about all of those with the conversations themselves. As far as alliances, it's a little bit too early to say anything is solidified, but it does seem like we've got two primary groups that are starting to consolidate around each other. On one side, you've got Kelly and Vince and Kino, perhaps on one side. The other side's probably a little bit more consolidated, and that would be Rachel and Amy and Ashley, Zach, Morgan, Mickey, and Jimmy, perhaps on the other side. Again, very uncertain just yet, but it seems like those are the ones who are talking and strategizing the most with each other. Catherine, perhaps a little bit with that group, but doesn't seem like she did a lot of strategizing last night. Will and Riley, Will not really anything at all. He was out hanging out with people and talking, but not a whole lot of gameplay discussion we saw from Will just yet. And Riley is making it. It looks like Riley's going to very much play the game, at least to start with, of saying, he said multiple times, I don't ever want to win HOH. I don't want to have any of that. I just want to be told what to do. Just tell me where I need to go. So Riley very much waiting to see how everything settles out and very much wanting to be a follower rather than a leader right now. So that's kind of how the groups have fallen out for right now. It could all change. We certainly saw, because Vince is the HOH, this other side, Jimmy and Zach and others, certainly kissing up to Vince as well. So Vince is kind of playing a little bit of all sides and kind of alienating all sides at the same time. So yeah, have fun with this HOH, Vince. All right, some actual conversations that we had going on. As the feeds came on, we saw Jimmy and Rachel in the bedroom talking on one camera feed. Rachel seemed to be throwing out Kino as a replacement nomination. That certainly seemed to be the way she was leading the conversation. Jimmy was responding, saying that Zach really doesn't trust Kino. A little bit of a bro conflict already going on, perhaps, saying that, yeah, Zach doesn't really trust Kino. Jimmy is worried that Kino, if he got HOH, would be putting himself and Rachel up on the block. So very much both of them trying to, seems like, support each other of Kino being a target maybe as a renom at this point in time. Now, wasn't Jimmy on the TV episode one of the main advocates that we got to get Rachel out? We got to get her out of the thing. Well, maybe not so much once the conversation has started, because very first thing we see is the two of them talking with each other. While they're doing that on the other camera feeds, we see Kino, who they were talking about. We see Kino and Vince playing pool together. Vince is worried about the fact that he is going to have to name a fourth nominee because the veto is going to be used. He's saying that he won't do Jimmy because that will make him a target for 4 to 5 people. It certainly seems like Jimmy has a charismatic personality that's already pulled a lot of people in for him. And so it seems like Vince is saying, maybe Jimmy would be my target, but in going after him, I'm going to have a lot of other people that become enemies of mine. So I'm not going to do that. If 4 or 5 people, it'll all be coming after me. So I'm just not going to do that. Remember, he's already a little bit worried because For example, with Ashley, he had already made a commitment to her that she wasn't going to block, and then she did anyway. And I think he's just seeing that a lot of people could be looking to him as a nomination the week following. We had 10 or so, all the rest of the house guests more or less around the whirlpool. We had Will, except for Will and Mickey and Ashley and Adrian, who were all in the kitchen eating, maybe more so than cooking, but hanging around the kitchen as well. The main thing with this, I didn't see anyone going to bed super early. It seems like everyone's still up talking to each other, moving around a little bit and all that. Now, we did lose Will pretty quickly after this and one or two others, but at least for now, everyone up and about and working their magic with each other in the backyard, in the kitchen, and again with Jimmy and Rachel in one of the bedrooms. The memory wall is up. At first I looked and said, well, there's 18 pictures up there. Is Janky in there? No, we've got row of five or column of five, column of four on one, then column five, column of four on the other monitor. But one of the very bottom of the one of the column fives, I think it showed BB27. It's hard to see. They never really zoomed in. But anyway, we've got 17 house guests that are now up on the memory wall. When we were in the house, first few days, you didn't have the pictures up there. Once we walked in and we saw them, it just made it that much more official. So yeah, they're all official. They're all in the game. 17 house guests. All right, let's see. We've got the general conversations around the pool. Kino had talked about being a dungeon master. That guy can tell a story. He spent a lot of time talking about his characters and how he plays the game and all that. I think it was Catherine who maybe was paying attention to it. He's very passionate about his characters and his Dungeons and Dragons. So he was talking about that quite a bit. Meanwhile, we've got Vince asking Morgan about Kelly, and Morgan says is Kelly the only play? And that's the first indication we get that during the live feeds that even though they're final two, that it very well could be Kelly who's going to go up on the renom based on Morgan asking Vince and Vince throughout the evening suggesting that, yeah, it could be Kelly as the renom. All right, we've got Ashley and Vince talking. He's worried about someone being emotional. He's talking about something. Oh, I think this may be Kelly. Talking about something happening early tomorrow, which I now believe is to be the veto ceremony. Vince says, look, it's been a long day and everything. I think I want to just go to bed early. Hopefully the ceremony takes place early tomorrow morning. I don't have a lot of time to think about this. I'm just going to go to bed early and not deal with it. Well, he stayed up till 4:30 Big Brother time. He was the last person awake. So heavy is the head that wears the crown. But yeah, he does that. And soon after that is when we realize that Ashley actually won the veto competition. She and Vince are talking about it, and Vince is saying, yeah, you made your mark. You have found, way to go. Not what Vince wanted. All right, we've got Mickey and Ashley talking a little bit in one of the back bedrooms. Mickey is saying that Vince didn't want to put Kino up, so putting Kelly up makes sense. Apparently, the original plan may have been to put up Kino, and that's what I think Ashley had heard. Or I think that's what Mickey had heard. And then Ashley saying, no, I just talked to him. And actually now it looks like he didn't want to put Kino up. So instead it's going to be Kelly. Seems like that's the play. And they're both agreeing that that Kelly could go home as a result of this thing. So yeah. So they're hearing now that the pitch, the plan is to put Kelly up instead of Kino. And that she very well could go home as a result of it. All right, we've got Kelly and Vince talking. Kelly saying, yeah, I heard my name being mentioned as a pawn. Again, these two are in the final two alliance, and she said, I know you're talking about using me as a pawn and all of that. Kelly has a lot more confidence in her ability to survive a vote than anyone else in this house does. Everyone else is recognizing there's a very good chance she could go home. Kelly maybe not recognizing that so much, as saying, yeah, I know you're talking about me as a pawn, and that's okay. Vince is saying that he really wanted to put Adrian up at one point. Kelly's asking about putting Jimmy up as an option instead. But Vince is worried that Jimmy is a power person. He's got a lot of people working with him. It seems like that if he was put up Jimmy, Jimmy could get upset. Everyone else would get upset with Vince as well. So he's thinking that wouldn't happen. He's also thinking that Rachel and Jimmy are tight enough that if he puts up Jimmy, Rachel also will be upset, and he certainly doesn't want that. So he's really shutting down these ideas of other folks that potentially could go up, and continuing to point, it seems like, to Kelly as a probable target. Eventually, Kino comes over and starts talking to the two of them. Kino and Kelly both seem to be pushing Vince to go after Jimmy still as a preferable option. Kino is saying that they do have the numbers, because Vince keeps saying, I can't do it. He's got the numbers. If we put Jimmy up and then he doesn't go home, even if he goes home, I got people coming against me. But if we don't have the numbers, he doesn't come home, then Jimmy's coming after me as well. Why in the world would I do that? Kino's saying, look, we've got the numbers. And at one point, he actually mentions an alliance of him and Vince and Kelly and Riley and Ava. God, I kind of forgot about Ava, and Catherine as a potential alliance. So that's what Kino is throwing out there. I think that's 7 people saying, we've got the numbers that we could make this happen, Vince, if you want 7 votes plus you as a tiebreaker. It's a possibility. Kino is saying, let's see, 7 and 7 and yeah, okay. Yeah, that's it. You could have a tiebreaker on this thing. He's saying we've got the numbers, and you could break the tie, so you could make it work. Kino is saying that Amy is Rachel's strongest ally, and as we'll hear throughout the evening, that very much does seem to be the case. Rachel at one point says, I'm not voting out Amy. And I know Amy's not going after Rachel, the 2 moms in the house. So Kino is aware of that. He's saying Amy is Rachel's strongest ally. Kelly is saying that Rachel and Amy talk all the time, that they've been staying up all night talking to each other. Well, Kelly and Vince and Kino spend a lot of time talking to each other as well, but I don't think it's a secret to anyone in this house that Amy and Rachel are tight, which can be dangerous going forward. But they're not trying to hide it, and they're all aware of that, including this group talking. Kino is thinking that that they ought to try to get Rachel. Can't get her this week, but maybe they should be going for Rachel. Maybe they should be going for Amy as well. Go get them out as back doors in future weeks. Worried about the influence that Rachel has and the power that she has. So certainly her name comes up with this conversation. Kelly's saying that Zay would have votes versus Amy or Adrian if Zay stays on the block. Remember, one of these 3 people gets to pull themselves off on eviction night, but that if Zay stayed on the block, that he won't have. I say will. She thinks that Zay wouldn't have votes versus Amy or Adrian. Again, I don't think Adrian's going up this week, so that's probably a moot point. As opposed to going up against Amy, Kelly may be right. It sounds like a lot of people perhaps would support Amy over Zay if it came down to that. All right, they think that Zay's a threat because the littlest things, Showergate, the big deal, they're saying that Zay is a threat because he taught everyone how to play chess. And that's such a strategic game. You have to think several steps ahead. Zay knows that game, and therefore he must be a huge threat as a result. Also, apparently, the veto competition, it basically came down to him and Ashley as the final 2 or the 2 closest to winning. Ashley won it, but Zay was close. So now they're saying, look at him. Look, he came close in the competition. He's obviously smart. He taught everyone to play chess. So Zay is definitely a threat in their opinion. Vince is saying again that he won't do Jimmy, but that Adrian could be a good choice since he won't get mad and he's good at comps. So I assume what he means is if we get to work with him, he'll help protect us and all of that. So yeah, I guess he's assuming that Adrian really wouldn't get mad if he put him up and they could still work together. Sometimes that doesn't work as well as you think, but Vince is saying no Jimmy, maybe Adrian, if I don't do you, Kelly. Kelly is saying that, look, Vince, I understand that it's tough. I'm fine with you putting me up. That's fine. But don't tell me what you're going to do. I don't want to know. Just I'll be here on veto ceremony. Whatever you do, you do. I'm fine with. But don't tell me ahead of time what you're going to do. But she is fine if he puts her up. But Kino is saying, look, I think we've got the numbers to protect you, Kelly, if you go up, but I can't say that for certain. So just so you're aware. Kino is also telling Kelly that the other side He said the time, but the other side just doesn't like her. And Kelly said, why don't they like me? Well, as it turns out, it's really Rachel and Amy that maybe don't have a real fondness for Kelly. And he's saying, I don't know. I'm not sure. Y'all just didn't jive. Apparently, at one point, Kelly had said something about that she was playing for the long haul. At one point, she had told Zach that maybe he was a target, could be a target because he won $10,000. I think she just said some things that aren't untrue, but maybe shouldn't have been vocalized. So she's got some other people on the other side, especially again Rachel and Amy, who just don't seem to like her that much. And so she's a little bit worried about that and how that could affect her if she is on the block and potentially facing eviction. That means she's still not willing to do it, however. Kelly's saying that if she's on the block, that she's just gonna have to do what she has to do. She's like, I'm just gonna have to go talk to Jimmy and just be a fake ass bitch. Yeah, that her words, not mine. But she's ready to start doing some campaigning and doing what it takes to stay in this house a little bit longer. Vince eventually says, "Look, the renom has to be either Adrian or Kelly at this point. He's thrown out this idea of Jimmy." And I truly think of those two, Adrian will not be the choice. It would be Kelly above Adrian. Kino will come back into the picture here in a little bit as well. All right, we've got Ashley talking to Zay. She's telling Zay that if the final nominations are Amy and Zay, those two are the ones that make it to the voting on Thursday night, that it would be a very close vote. So in other words, Ashley's telling Zay, saying, hey, you may be okay, but it may be close as well. Zay says he knows that Ashley and Rachel and Mickey are all close to Amy, so he assumes that he would lose all those votes. So he's a little bit worried about it as well. Meanwhile, we've got Jimmy talking to Mickey. He's telling Mickey that he's working on pulling her into his group. Again, we've heard that he's got these 4 or 5 people. Mickey talks to him, says, look, I'm feeling kind of a way that I wasn't approached to be in this alliance to start with. And Jimmy saying, nah, don't worry about it. I'm working on getting you in. I'm doing my magic. I'll pull you in, Mickey. So he's certainly trying to keep her close as well. All right, we've got Lauren at one point painting Riley's nails. Yeah, it didn't take long for that. Later, Riley says he would prefer a different color shade or whatever. But Lauren is painting Riley's nails. And while she's doing that, Kelly's talking to them about offering herself up as a renom. And she said, now, yeah, I'm considering doing this or offering to do this. And if I survive, I'd really like to work with the two of y'all as well. Kelly mentions this 7-person alliance of herself and Lauren and Riley and Zach and Vince and Adrian and Morgan all being together in a group. I'm not really sure where Morgan's playing just yet. She's a gamer, and it seems like she's moving a couple of different directions as well. But Kelly thinks that she's got Morgan as part of this group as well, and she's wanting Lauren and Riley to potentially be in this group as well. All right, we've got Jimmy and Morgan and Zach in the HOH, not Vince, who is the HOH for the week, but instead Jimmy and Morgan and Zach. They know that Kino has been pushing for Jimmy as the renomination. Again, we saw that earlier with the conversations as well. They're talking about Kelly saying weird things so far and just not really seeming to fit in with the group. And again, it's her playing the long game, talking about Zach being a target because he won that 10K, things like that. Speaking of, what a power Zach has of being able to pull himself off anytime before pre-jury as a benefit of winning that 10K and saving Julie. That's quite the power. We'll talk about that on another evening. But we've got that. All right, we've got Kelly talking to Vince and Kino about Jimmy bringing in the HOH. Oh, about Jimmy being in the HOH. Kelly saying, "Look, he's in the HOH. He's taking a nap. He's running the house right now." Vince. So again, she's saying that she's willing to go on the block, but she and Kino continue to push Jimmy as a much more preferable choice to go up as a renom. And so she's trying to give Vince, he's running the house. He's out there taking a nap in your room and you're down here and you don't want to go after him. So she's putting the pressure on him. Catherine's talking to Kelly a little bit later. She's saying, look, the thing is with Amy, she said a lot of people either like Amy or they think that she's an easy target for later weeks. So don't be assuming that Amy is necessarily going home this week. Which, if I'm Kelly, I'm extremely worried. If I'm on the block with Kelly, if I'm Kelly, I'm on the block with Zay and Amy. There's a reasonable chance that Zay could get himself pulled off the block. We already saw him, or we didn't see, but apparently he already did well in the veto competition. So you could have Kelly and Amy on the block, and Catherine saying, a lot of people would be willing to keep Amy a little bit longer, Kelly. Catherine is saying that she keeps Kelly over Zay. Doesn't necessarily say anything about Kelly over Amy, but if it's you versus Zay, Kelly, yeah, I'll save you. I guess that's better than nothing. All right, we've got Vince commenting to Kelly. Remember, final two alliance, Vince and Kelly. And he tells her, in considering whether to put her on the block or not, he says, what feels right is protecting you in this house. What feels smart is gambling big this week. Okay, I'm not sure that's the gamble that I'd be making with my ride or die with my final two. Vince is worried that he's turning the house against him. He keeps breaking his word again. He had told Ashley she would be okay, and then he put her up as an example. He mentions his words is I win the first HOH, my best friend goes home, and then I go home in my second HOH. What a run that would be for me! Great. Kelly is saying, as much as she's been pushing for Jimmy, she also seems to be okay going up. She says, look, it'll be fun to go up. I'll make a name for myself. Vince is saying, yeah, people like bold play. So, yeah, I get what you're saying, Kelly. I want to help you support your cause as much as I can. No, it's no fun going up on the block as a nomination, as a renom. There's nothing fun at all about that, Kelly. Try 6 times on the block. Trust me on that, Kelly. But she thinks it'll be fun. Well, if she gets a second chance, she may realize otherwise. She may not get a second chance. All right, we've got Zay telling Rachel that he has a smokescreen alliance with Zay and Zach, or with Zay and Zach. I don't know who is it. Kino and Zach. I'm not sure. Little middle of the night. But anyway, Zay telling Rachel he's got kind of some smokescreen alliances with the bros, but yeah, no, that's all that is. Just a little confusion here, Rachel. Rachel's telling Kino, saying, look, if I win HOH, you're safe, Kino. You're not going anywhere. And you and I, we're good. We're fine. She says, I'm gonna put up Zay and Kelly. That's who my targets are if I was to win HOH. I'm not sure Rachel's in a huge hurry to win HOH just quickly. Perhaps we'll see over the next couple of days. Zay told her, she says she'll put up Zay and Kelly, because she just doesn't like her. Again, Kelly knows that Amy and Rachel not her biggest fans, so she said, "I'll put Kelly up just because just because it's Kelly. I'll put Zay up because he had said to some people that he would put me up. So I've got easy targets." So Kino, you're safe. I got other folks. Don't worry about me. Kino says that he can talk Kelly into not going after Rachel. He says, yeah, I can talk her into it, Rachel. She just thinks that y'all don't like her. And Rachel says, well, it's more Amy. Amy's just kind of spicy when she talked to her and all. It's not that big a deal. Kino's saying, I got you. If Kelly stays, then I can get her to not come after y'all. It's not a big deal, Rachel. I think it's a bit of a lost cause for Kino to be trying to convince Rachel to potentially vote to save Kelly over Amy, knowing how tight they are. It's also very premature, considering that we haven't even had the renom ceremony just yet. But he's saying he can work his magic and make sure that doesn't happen. All right, we've got Ashley and Amy talking to each other. Ashley thinks that anyone stays versus Kelly. And we heard that from a lot of folks, it seems like, last night talking around the house, that Kelly's not nearly safe as she may think she is. So Ashley's saying anyone stays versus Kelly. They think that Riley and Jimmy could be swing votes on Thursday. Riley, I get, because we haven't really seen him doing a whole lot of proactive talk to anyone. Jimmy, he just seems like he's all over the place. At one point we had, and I can't remember who it was, someone said Jimmy's got a lot, I think it may be Vince, said Jimmy's got a whole lot of little mini alliances going on, and perhaps that's it. So not really sure where Jimmy's landing just yet, but Ashley's thinking that that Riley and Jimmy very well could be swing votes, that Amy needs to go talk to the two of them, make sure she's good with both of them. Ashley is saying that Amy has 5 votes for certain, and that would be Ashley and Rachel and Morgan and Catherine and Mickey probably. So she needs to work on Riley and Will. That would get her 7. Now Vince breaks a tie. Not sure he'd break the tie in favor of Amy versus Kelly, but saying you need to work on those two and make sure you're good to go. She's thinking they're both thinking that people see through Jimmy, and that Morgan probably needs to go next. Just not feeling it with Morgan, these two. But Ashley is saying that she doesn't want Mickey or Morgan to know that she's targeting the two of them. So, yeah, we still, Ashley being on the block, now she knows she's safe because she's going to use the veto. So she's thinking ahead and maybe identifying some targets in Mickey and Morgan that I wouldn't have expected to Ashley to be focused on. But it sounds like that could be the case. All right, we've got Vinny and Rachel and Kino talking. Vince is saying that Kelly is handling being the renom incredibly well, considering that you're her final two and you're putting her on the block. Yeah, I'd say she's handling it incredibly well, Vince. He's saying, yeah, she doesn't have a problem with it. Vince is saying that he really needs Kelly here, though. Yeah, he may put her on the block, but he doesn't want her to go anywhere. But he's saying that Kelly seems like the best renom choice, unless he was to put Jimmy on the block, and he just doesn't want to do that. Kino is saying that Jimmy lies to everyone. Again, Kino and Kelly are trying to convince Vince not to put up his allies in this game and to actually put up a target enemy instead. And Vince just didn't buying it. So Kino's saying, yeah, Jimmy lies to everyone. Think about it. And now they're saying this in front of Rachel, which was kind of interesting. All right, we've got Morgan and Vince talking. Vince is complaining that Kino was counting votes for Kelly against Amy in front of Rachel. Why would he do that, knowing how tight Rachel and Amy is? He's saying basically Kino was just talking about everyone who's going to not support Amy, and just giving Rachel a whole list of names of people that maybe she should be worried about. So not a good play on Kino's part to try to do that in front of Rachel. I think Kino feels a lot more confident of his ability to influence Rachel than maybe he really has. Morgan thinks that Jimmy wants Kino up if it comes down to it, and that's why Kino's pushing for Jimmy so much. That putting up Kino only benefits Jimmy. So why would Vince do that? He just doesn't think it helps him that much. We're starting to hear more Kino name being mentioned. Morgan is saying that Kelly is confident that she survives in a vote, which I don't think is necessarily the case. Vince is worried about a tie between Zay and Kelly. His worst fear. If it's a tie vote, he has to send either Zay or Kelly out the door. He feels comfort with both of them. Vince does not want to send out one of the bros. He's afraid that if he sends out one, that all the rest of them are going to be mad at him. So if he's forced to choose between Zay and Kelly, who knows what happens to that final two alliance. He does mention as well that he thinks that Kelly's playing a bad social game, that she doesn't really know the game of Big Brother. Morgan is telling Vince that she thinks that Zay would put her and Vince up if he was to get HOH. So again, we got Morgan kind of suggesting that maybe Zay would be a good one to get out the door. We've heard Morgan say at one point, don't keep a lot of bros in this house. I think she says at one point to Vince, keep one as a shield. Get rid of all the rest of them. Oh, we don't need all these guys in here. Morgan is pitching against Zay to Rachel. Rachel saying that she won't vote out Amy. Pretty indicative throughout the evening that was the case, but she's saying straight up, I'm not going to vote out Amy. Morgan is saying she doesn't trust Kino. Rachel doesn't know what Zach and Lauren will do, and Morgan at that point says, they're just going to make out. So there you have it. Potential showmance in the making. I think it's Zach at one point who says everyone is so eager for I and Lauren to form a showmance. So he's feeling the pressure. Doesn't mean he's saying no, but he's certainly recognizing what people are expecting. And Morgan seems to think that could be happening as well. All right, we've got Jimmy and Zay and Vince in the HOH room. Jimmy is saying that Kino lied to Zach. I think he says he keeps lying to my face like 3 times or so. To Zach, lying to Zach, not to me. He's lied to Zach like 3 times to his face. I just don't trust Kino at all. Zay is saying he's not sure where Kino's head is at all. So again, everyone kind of piling on Kino here at this point. Jimmy is saying he doesn't like people that play with floaters. Vince is again saying that Kelly is going up, that Zay has a good chance to survive as a result. You shouldn't worry about Zay. At that point, Zay leaves. We've got Jimmy saying he doesn't trust Ashley, that she's lied to him multiple times. Vince is saying that he wants to play the game with Jimmy. The two of them, they should be playing the game together. Again, maybe that's why he's saying I'm not going to put up Jimmy. He said it was because there'd be so many targets coming against after him if he did it. There could also be a belief that perhaps he and Jimmy can make something happen if he keeps Jimmy alive. So he's saying, yeah, I want to play the game with you, Jimmy. He says, you know so much about this game. It would be to my benefit to play with someone like you. Uh, Jimmy tells Vince that he maybe isn't making the best choices for himself if he puts Kelly up on the block as a renom, because he's warning Vince. He's saying Kelly goes home against anyone, so you're putting up someone that should be your ally. I'm just not sure that's your best move here, Vince. So everyone telling Vince that this same thing, it seems like. Jimmy is pushing for Kino to go up instead, fearing that Kino's going to come after him. So he's pushing the Kino bust to get him on the block. Says Vince, Kino is only talking to you because you're HOH. If it wasn't for that, y'all would not be having any discussions at all. He says that Kino wants to play with floaters. He just got through saying he doesn't like people who won't play with floaters. Kino wants to play play with floaters. And Vince, as soon as you aren't HOH, as soon as you're vulnerable, if Kino has the power, he's putting you up. So just hint, you may want to consider booting Kino while you've got the chance at this point in time. Jimmy is saying that if it wasn't for the two alliances that he was in with Rachel, he would be scared of her. But because he's in two alliances, he feels a little bit more comfortable. Vince is worried that putting up another bro would make all the house bros mad at him. In other words, Zay's already on the block. If I now put up Kino as well, that's 2 out of the 3 on the block are going to be bros. The other bros are all going to be mad at me. That's why I can't do that. Jimmy's saying, no, don't worry. They wouldn't be mad at you. They'd understand. No worries at all. Not a problem whatsoever. Jimmy's a little upset with Kino because apparently, and I didn't see it on the live feeds, but I heard mention, apparently at some point Kino had called Jimmy coach. And I guess Jimmy didn't like that. Now, he told everyone he's a tennis coach, but I guess he didn't like the label coach, suggesting that maybe somehow he knows or is a little more in control. Probably one reason among many. But anyway, he's saying, yeah, don't worry. The bros won't be mad at you if you put 2 of them up. That's no big deal, Vince. Morgan and Zach come in for a little while. Jimmy is saying that, Zay, you need to stay in this house. We don't want you to go. We need to make sure that doesn't happen. Morgan talking about Amy, saying, Amy isn't the smartest. In other words, why get rid of Amy? She's not that smart. She's not going to do anything with this game. Zach is saying he doesn't trust Kino. So again, Zach and Morgan certainly seem like they're also pushing to potentially get Kino on the block instead of Kelly. Morgan later tells Vince that to keep one, this is where it came in. Morgan's telling Vince, saying, look, keep one muscle dude, get the rest of them out. Keep one in as a shield. Get rid of all the rest of them. Vince is saying, I love this quote. Vince is saying, I've never been this popular in my life, and I've also never been lied to this much in my entire life. Well, welcome to Big Brother, and welcome to being HOH, Vince. The best and worst of all worlds, all happening at once. So yeah, he's recognizing that a lot of people are blowing smoke his direction. But a lot of people want to kiss up to him as well. So we've got that. And I think that's about it. Eventually Vince, as I said, who wanted to go to bed early, Vince is the last in bed at about 4:30 or so in the morning, turns the light, talked about how bright the lights were. HOH, for those of you who don't know, is the only place in the house that has a light switch. So when you're HOH, you can actually turn the lights off. He's finally in bed by 4:30 or so. And there you have it, guys. So at the end of this, I think we're going to have veto ceremony today. My guess is that Kelly is going on the block, even though she's a final 2 with Vince. If that doesn't happen, I think the next option would be Kino to go on the block. After that, let the campaigning begin. Kino, or I think Zay, probably all of them. Zay, I think, has said he's going to immediately start campaigning, doing one-on-one starting tomorrow, which would be Monday today. That's awful early considering you got 4 days left until the vote itself. But there you have it. So Amy will be on the block. Zay will be on the block, and probably either Kelly or Kino, and likely Kelly. And we'll see how the veto ceremony turns out. All right, guys, it's going to be a fun one. Exciting night number 6. I'll be back tomorrow to give you a recap, let you know what happened on the veto ceremony and who's campaigning. And it's just going to be a crazy season. Guys, have a great day. Have first day of the week, Monday. Have a great Monday. I will see y'all tomorrow morning, tonight, Cliff Notes Live, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central on YouTube. Come out, talk. We're going to be doing a live chat talking about all this, all Big Brother, all the time. So join me tonight. If not, I'll see y'all tomorrow morning for night number 7 live feed recaps. Until then, SKD143. Cheers, my friends. Bye.